came into the stars we rise.
This is Astrology Aesthetic, where you claim your power and remember who you really are. I'm Kiki, and together we'll work with the stars to guide the way. Welcome back, Starseeds. So today we are wrapping up the Lunar Nodes, and if you haven't already listened to part 1 and 2, head back and listen to those because today we are wrapping it up with the houses. So to assist me in doing that today, I have my zodiac wheel in the magenta color, and just because we are going all the way through the wheel again, but with the houses. So without any further notes, let's jump right in. All right, so we need to remember 2 things. 1, North Node new, South Node safe. If that hasn't been grilled into your head, then keep repeating it and in no time it'll be there. So with North Node new and South Node safe, we are applying that to the houses, and the houses have the same type of energy that the zodiac wheel does. So remember, Aries is bold, new, it's taking action, that new beginning, whereas its sister sign is Libra, and that is about partnerships and about relationships and balance and harmony. And so with that said, this is where it gets fun with the houses. So the houses hold the flavor and energy of each zodiac sign. So if you ever kind of get confused, or I don't remember what the second house is. If you remember the order of the zodiac wheel, that house that associates with that zodiac sign holds the energy of that zodiac. So, for example, we're going to start with the first house. And if you need a refresher on the houses, head back to episode 5, where we talk about it being courses and the themes of life. This is where we start to apply it, because with North Node, this is the recipe you're learning how to make in this lifetime. And so with the first house is the house of self, and its counter sign, or where it lies on the axis. If you have the North Node, for example, in the first house, your South Node will automatically fall into the 7th house, which is partnerships. So applying the North Node new concept, you're moving towards first house themes such as self-definition or independence and just me focused. It could be related to your body. It can be related to new beginnings, just all of those new type of themes. Again, very Aries coded. Whereas the South Node in the 7th house, which is, again, Libra themed, i.e. partnerships. And so that's very we based. So think of it this way. If you tend to prioritize other people or your relationships or, anything partnership based, that is okay. The South Node is not to be demonized. However, it's just something to be aware of, that you're moving from partnership themes to self-focused energy. So it's not about completely abandoning that recipe that you're already familiar with, but it is about prioritizing this new energy of being self-focused. And that doesn't mean becoming selfish or rude, but it does mean becoming more passionate or bold in how you show up for yourself, okay? On the flip side, I'm just going to do it this way. If you have the North Node in the 7th house and the South Node in the 1st house, your new themes or your approach to life is to focus on partnerships. It is to receive that, other set of eyes, or that commitment, or the connection based, because you're already very well equipped at putting yourself first. You're already aware of what type of identity you have, and it's easy for you to fall into that. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess just self-love. Like, you have an easy self-love if you have that South Node in the 1st house. Your path as a starseed for this lifetime is to create those partnerships and that commitment, and very Libra energy codes, okay? Now, before we move on through the wheel, I could spend like hours on each house and go through it all. However, that's not the point of this. The point of this is to give you the basics and to empower you to dive in yourself, because using your human design authority type, and if you need a refresher on which one you are, head back to episode 16. But I am not going to be able to tell you, Starseed, how to show up or how to apply these things, because there are so many facets within each house and each element. And for me to tell you, hey, if you have your North Node in the first house and it happens to be in Pisces, then it means that XYZ, you are intuitive, you need to embody your Pisces creativity and intuition, right? Though that may be true, the whole point of this is to empower you to start applying and flexing your intuitive muscles, because overall, that's where the growth happens. And that's what the North and South Node are all about. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. So if that all makes sense, let's keep going. So if you have the North Node in the second house and your South Node in your 8th house, this is very much like mine versus ours energy. So second house is money and value and self-worth and possessions and resources. And so if your North Node is in this house, this is about very likely learning how to provide for yourself or learning how to contribute to your own self-worth and making sure that you have what you need to feel supported as a starseed. And the 8th house, if you have your South Node in there, it's really about releasing, relying on other people's resources or finances. You know, it's maybe you're prone to doing shadow work, and that, again, it's great, it's needed. However, it's okay to create material things in this lifetime. So on the flip side, if your North Node is in the 8th house, this means you are meant to embody and practice shadow work and transformation and death and rebirth, right? Second house is very Taurus energy. 8th house is very Scorpio energy. And it's about learning which parts of it to embody and what part of you is ready for that change and that shift now. So again, very mine versus ours. And again, you already know as we're going through these, you're probably, oh yeah, I do tend to rely on others' resources to provide. And maybe it's uncomfortable and kind of scary to think about providing for yourself. And maybe that's the point. So you chose this time in this North Node, and trust that you have everything it takes for you to be able to stretch. It's not meant to be easy always. It's not meant to be super comfortable. This is where you're meant to grow. All right, moving on, we have the 3rd house and the 9th house. So if your North Node is in the 3rd house, this is very information based, and it, again, think Gemini, right? This one is really fun because it's like, okay, you get to learn, you get to practice communication, you get to learn what it takes to collect information in an applicable way. And only you know what that means, okay? I don't have your answers. Now, on the flip side, if your South Node is in the 9th house, this is very much about, okay, belief systems, wisdom, what do I actually believe? So, you know, maybe you have a fixed set of beliefs, and that's great. We've all been there. Maybe it's about allowing some more information or gathering more insight, or, I mean, not necessarily opinions, but just just getting to this point where you feel comfortable communicating and hearing what other people have to say so that you can learn what you do or don't believe. And this could be a really interesting stretch for some people, because with Gemini, the information collector, and its sister sign Sagittarius, which is the wisdom and the ninth house energy, it can be a really kind of jarring thing for some starseeds, especially maybe those of us that have grown up religiously, or for those that have this fear of international travel or just traveling in general. So it's really interesting. So on the flip side, if your north node is in the ninth house and your south node is in the third house, this is about, okay, you've collected enough information, third house, and it's time to decide what you believe, and it's time to stand on something, and it's time to share that wisdom that you've learned from all these years in third house and very likely past life. So this axis is very much the energy of the difference between learning things versus knowing things versus understanding things, because I feel like the ego is often the thing that wants to understand, and the heart is what knows. And so that's when that human design authority type comes in handy, because if you're able to identify how you process your gut feeling or your higher self, then it makes a lot of this so much easier, because you're like, okay, well, for example, maybe if your north node is in the ninth house, you're feeling called to maybe go to college or grad school, and part of you keeps holding yourself back. Is that your ego, or, what is it? Because your north node in the ninth house does tend to encourage higher education of some kind. And that doesn't necessarily mean school in the traditional way, but just an example. Next up, we have the fourth and the 10th house. Fourth house is very Cancer energy. So it's your private life, it's your roots, it's your home, it's your emotional foundation. And the 10th house is Capricorn energy. So this is your public life, it's your identity, your career, your ambitions, your reputation, your legacy. So this axis asks a really interesting question, right? If you have your north node in your fourth house, which is the family, the emotional roots, this is saying, hey, it's okay to release some of these 10th house ambitions, right? Like, maybe it's not about creating this massive empire in this lifetime. Maybe it's not about creating the entire legacy. Though it can be, it is an interesting placement, because this is like, hey, you in this lifetime wanted to prioritize emotional roots or memories or family traditions, whatever that looks like for you. And again, just a reminder that family is chosen, and it doesn't have to be by blood. And so with that said, on the flip side, if your north node is in the 10th house, again, north node new, you're meant to be kind of putting energy into this, like, what does it look like to create a public life? What does it look like for me to pursue that ambition or pursue that dream I have? Because there is a way to have both, right? Again, the south node isn't about getting rid of your family in this situation, right? To pursue your dreams. It's all about balance. And this placement can be difficult to balance if you choose that. It's about setting the internal boundary within yourself. Okay? So, next up, we have the 5th house, which is Leo energy, and the 11th house, which is Aquarius energy. Okay, so the 5th house is very creative energy. It's the house of pleasure, romance, children, joy, even your inner child. And the 11th house is about friendships, community, goals, network, aspirations, and Even luck falls in there. So what's interesting is this. So let's say you have the North Node in the 5th house. This is about individual creativity. Whereas with the South Node in the 11th house, that's about collective contribution. This is about creating from a space that genuinely makes you happy and brings you joy, and not worrying about the 11th house energies of the collective, or, worrying about their insight on your creative works or your joy. Okay. And on the flip side, if you have your North Node in the 11th house and your South Node in the 5th house, this is about how can I create in a way that contributes to the collective. So it really shifts from this like personal creativity to collective contribution. So it's really simple once you know the patterns you're looking for, and it's kind of like drinking from a fire hydrant at first, but once you kind of see like, oh wait, like I know that Leo is all about the romance and the love of life and confidence and being seen and kind of self-focused, whereas Aquarius is more about the collective and innovating and future insights. Just learning those little pieces makes learning the houses around the zodiac completely doable. All right, last but not least, we have the 6th house and the 12th house. So 6th house is very Virgo energy and 12th house is very Pisces energy. So 6th house is really about health and wellness, your daily routine, work, service, daily life. Even pets fall in there. And the 12th house is about the subconscious, the solitude, this release and healing, and where spirituality occurs. So if you have your 6th house, your North Node in the 6th house, this is about learning to prioritize your daily routine. It's learning about overall contributing to health and wellness, and releasing 12th house, South Node 12th house, releasing this solitude energy, this ongoing internal, never-ending, basically self-help, or just this solitude in the name of I'm healing. It's time to release that with this placement. It's really about being seen, applying what you've learned via South Node into the day-to-day. Okay. Now on the flip side, if you have the North Node in the 12th house, it really is about releasing that South Node in the 6th house energy of like, okay, well, this is my daily routine. This is like my health and wellness, and applying the 12th house themes of spirituality and subconscious. Maybe it's time for you to finally dive into that spiritual mindset, or learn Reiki, or, whatever it is that's been calling you. And it may take you some time in solitude to apply that. And that's the like very watered down version of going through the houses. Okay. So I'm going to put in the show notes just a little brief thing about each house, but bottom line, I just want to go through these. So if you have the North Node in your 1st house, this is about becoming yourself. If you have the 2nd house North Node, build your own foundation. Okay? 3rd house is about finding your voice. 4th house, creating belonging. 5th house, let yourself create. 6th house, make purpose practical. 7th house, learn through relationships. 8th house, surrender and transform. 9th house, expand your worldview. 10th house, step into your calling. 11th house, find your people. And 12th house, trust the unseen. Now, the +1 for all of this is, okay, great. I can look up the house themes or learn more about it, What does it mean if you have a different zodiac sign in that house? Well, Starseed, I'm so glad you asked. This is where you start learning how to apply astrology into your life. Okay, for example, a starseed with a Virgo North Node in the first house, they are learning to become more intentional about who they are and how they move through the world. Again, because the first house is the house of self. So their growth may come through developing discernment or creating healthier routines or trusting their own judgment and learning to define themselves on their own terms. So it's not just about embodying that specific zodiac's qualities. It's about learning to embody those qualities through the house that it's in, which is the first house. So embodying Virgo-like qualities through self-identity. Okay, so let's do another example. We'll do Sagittarius North Node in the third house. So a starseed with Sagittarius North Node in the third house, they're learning to bring big picture wisdom, Sagittarius themes, into their everyday communication, which is third house. So they may be pushed to speak their truth or share what they've learned, ask bigger questions, or communicate from their own experiences, opposed to just repeating everything they've been taught. So their growth is happening when they use their voice and are staying curious about the world around them. So again, you can kind of see how like the themes of Sagittarius truth and questions and the big picture is being applied to the third house, which is again the Gemini themes of communication and intellect, right? It's really just about learning to blend these things together. Okay, we'll do a couple more examples just to kind of give you guys a taste. So if you have your Gemini North Node in the fifth house, this is really about learning to embrace curiosity and experimentation through creativity and self-expression. So this starseed may grow by allowing themselves to play or try new things or share ideas or indulge in romance, just creating or being in this space without everything needing to be perfect or without it needing to have a bigger purpose. So their growth comes from letting themselves be curious about what brings them joy and giving themselves the permission to express it. So again, you have the element of the zodiac, Gemini, being curious and embracing and trying new things, blending with the energy of the fifth house, which is Leo, right? It's about being confident in that. It's about doing the things that make you happy without needing permission from other people. Are you kind of picking up on how this works? Now, final example is we'll do Pisces in the North Node 8th house, okay? Okay, so someone with the Pisces North Node in the 8th house is someone who's learning to surrender control and trust deeper emotional and spiritual processes. So their growth may come through the vulnerability and intimacy, allowing themselves to receive support and moving through transformation without needing to know exactly where it's going to lead. So they're learning that not everything can be analyzed or controlled, and sometimes that growth is going to be challenged because of their possible want or need to control, okay? Because this is the house of it's Scorpio energy, right? It's deep, it's intense, and Pisces does have a knack for attuning to that spirituality and that intuition, and this is just going to be a placement that amplifies that. And so they will go to places that they've never gone before, and that can be scary. So hopefully you guys can kind of see how this is applied and what this means for you and your starseed purpose, right? This is how it all kind of started. So the cool thing about the houses is, yes, there's specific themes and elements behind it. Well, if you're looking to apply that to a specific job, I mean, it's not as cut and dry as it'll list, yes, you are meant to be a writer, or you are going to be an actor, or, you're going to start your own business. However, once you're learning the themes, you can kind of sort of separate and, like, I guess, split the hairs a little bit, right? It's not like you won't be an entrepreneur if you have, say, a Pisces North Node. But what that could tell you is your business will have themes of creativity, spirituality, intuition, all right? And if you're looking at like writing, or if you should start a podcast, maybe look at what's happening in your third house. Is there a North Node that supports that? And again, there's so many other factors that go hand in hand with, your chart and your starseed purpose. However, the whole point of the North Node and the South Node little mini series is just to show you that, like, hey, if you take a look at this and you can really easily see if your life, where it's at right now, is or is not in alignment with your true starseed purpose, right? Like, say you have a North Node in the 6th house, which is about daily routines or health or wellness, right? And say you've always had that pull to maybe explore what starting your own wellness retreat would be like, right? But you're currently working a corporate job. That's something that, to me, you can easily identify within yourself is or is not in alignment, right? Say you're a therapist and you have the North Node in your 8th house, right? Which is kind of exploring the unknown, or even the 12th house, which is subconscious. With the 8th house having elements of psychology, or the 12th house being in relation to isolation or healing. Both of those, either the 8th or the 12th house North Nodes, could support someone being a psychologist or a therapist. And it's not as cut and dry as, XYZ. This is what I'm meant to do or what to be. However, it does provide some clarity and possibly shows you the next few steps ahead in your path. If it was as easy as, yes, look at your North Node and here's the answer immediately, that takes half the fun out of living life, right? We didn't come here to have all of the answers handed to us. And I feel like sometimes, even though that's so irritating, and the journey of getting the answer, I mean, that's just part of the process. I don't know if you guys have ever read The Alchemist. If you haven't, go read it. It's very applicable to this part of the conversation. So anyways, that's kind of a wrap on what I have to share about the lunar nodes, and I am just super excited to finally get this piece unlocked. We kind of had to build the clock with all the other episodes before we told the time, just so that you could understand and in your heart know the direction of what your purpose is or is not. And even if you're in this space of like, well, I know what I don't want to do, but I don't know what I do feel called to, that's okay. The first step is acknowledging that you're ready for something to shift, and allow the universe to show up for you. Just ask your spirit guides or ask your creator, whatever you call to or reach out to. They are constantly by your side and literally waiting for you to ask them to assist you through this journey. That's all I have for you today, Starseed. Again, take this opportunity to explore your North Node and what sign it's in and what house it's in. There's so many little, I guess, just nuggets and secrets and things in your birth chart that are begging you to take a look. And this is a great place to start. So With that said, we will catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in today, Starseed. As always, take what resonates and leave the rest. If you'd like to explore pieces that align with your starseed purpose, visit astrologyaesthetics.com. Trust yourself. You're exactly where you're meant to be.